Long ago, as crowds gathered around Jesus Christ, people traveled from towns and villages, from busy streets and quiet homes, just to hear him speak. Some came out of curiosity. Others came carrying burdens they couldn't explain. But almost all of them shared something in common. Questions about life, questions about purpose, about the future, about what really matters in the end. And just like today, many of those questions quietly revolved around one thing: money, because money touches everything. It shapes decisions, it creates opportunities, it promises security, and for many, it becomes the silent goal behind everything they do. How much do I need to be okay? When will I finally have enough? When can I finally relax? These weren't just modern thoughts. They lived in the hearts of people back then too. And on that day, one man decided to say it out loud. From within the crowd, a voice called out to Jesus Christ, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." It wasn't just a request. It was frustration, tension, a family dispute over money. Maybe he felt cheated. Maybe he felt overlooked. Maybe he believed he deserved more. And if we're honest, it still sounds familiar. Families divided over money. Relationships strained over what belongs to who. Because when money is involved, emotions follow. But instead of stepping in to solve the argument, instead of choosing sides, Jesus Christ did something deeper. He addressed the real issue beneath the surface. He looked at the crowd and said, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." It was a warning, not just to the man, but to everyone listening. Because greed isn't always obvious. It doesn't always look like excess. Sometimes it looks like ambition. Sometimes it hides behind goals. Sometimes it sounds like just a little more. Then, without naming anyone directly, Jesus Christ began to tell a story. There was a rich man, he said, whose land produced an abundant harvest. This man wasn't poor. He wasn't struggling. He had already built a life that many would admire, a life of success, a life of stability. But then, something unexpected happened. His land produced more than usual, much more. The kind of increase that people dream about. The kind of breakthrough that feels like everything is finally working in your favor. It was the result of good land, good timing, and perhaps years of hard work. Suddenly, the man found himself with a problem he never expected to have. He had too much. Too much grain, too much profit, too much to store in the barns he already had, and for a moment, he stood there, looking at it all, the abundance, the overflow, the evidence of his success. Then he began to think to himself, what should I do? It wasn't a question of survival, it was a question of strategy. How do you handle more? How do you protect it? How do you make sure it lasts? You can almost imagine his mind racing, running through possibilities, calculating outcomes, planning his next move. Because this moment, this increase, meant something. It meant security. It meant comfort. It meant he was ahead. And then, the idea came to him. "I know what I'll do," he said. There was confidence in his voice now, clarity, a sense of control. "I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones." Not small changes, not temporary fixes, bigger barns, more storage, more capacity, a solution that matched the size of his success. "And there," he continued, "I will store all my grain and all my goods." Everything he had worked for, carefully gathered, carefully protected. Nothing wasted, nothing shared, everything kept. And then, he said something that revealed what he truly believed, something that sounded reasonable, even wise. "You have plenty of grain laid up for many years," he told himself. Many years. That was the assumption. That was the plan. Time was on his side. The future was secure. Everything was under control. "Take life easy," he said. "Eat, drink, and be merry." That was the goal all along. Not just wealth, but rest. A life where the hard work was done, where the pressure was gone, where everything he needed was already stored away. And if you really think about it, that's what many people are chasing. Work now, grind now, build now, so that one day you can finally stop, finally relax, finally feel safe. And in that moment, standing in front of everything he had built, everything he had earned, everything he had stored, it probably felt like he had made it, like he had won. But there was one thing he didn't see, one thing he didn't plan for, one thing no amount of money, no amount of preparation, no amount of success could ever control. And that night, everything would change. As the story continued, Jesus Christ revealed what happened next, and what he said silenced the crowd. But God said to him, "You fool." The word landed heavy, because this man wasn't careless. He wasn't reckless. He had planned. He had worked. He had succeeded. By the world's standards, he had done everything right. And yet, he was called a fool. Why? Because while he was preparing for his future, he ignored what truly mattered. "This very night," God said, "your life will be demanded from you." No warning, no second chance, no extra time to enjoy what he had stored. The years he thought he had disappeared in a single moment. "Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself?" And just like that, everything changed. The barns he built would belong to someone else. The grain he stored would be used by someone else. The wealth he trusted would no longer be his. Because in the end, he spent his entire life preparing for a future he would never see. Silence filled the air, because deep down, everyone listening understood. This wasn't just a story, it was a warning. Then Jesus Christ looked at them and gave the lesson. This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich toward God. Not rich in money, not rich in possessions, but rich in what actually matters. Think about it. The man had everything people chase: wealth, security, comfort. But in the end, he had nothing that lasted. Because money can give the illusion of control. It can make you feel safe. It can make you believe you're ahead. It can make you think you're prepared for anything. But money cannot guarantee tomorrow. It cannot add more time to your life. It cannot protect you from the unexpected. And that's where the danger lies. Because when money becomes the focus, it slowly becomes the foundation. And when it becomes the foundation, everything else begins to revolve around it. Your decisions, your priorities, your purpose. Without even realizing it, you start building your life around something temporary. Jesus Christ wasn't saying money is evil. He was revealing something deeper. Money is a tool, but it makes a terrible master. Because if your goal is only to gain more, you may one day succeed and still feel empty. You may build everything you planned and still realize something is missing. Because the real question is not, how much do you have? It's this: what are you living for? Are you building bigger barns or building something that actually matters? Are you focused only on what you can keep or on what you can become? Because one day, everything you own, everything you worked for, everything you stored will be left behind. Every dollar, every possession, every achievement, gone. And in that moment, the only thing that will matter is what you truly valued. So before you chase more, before you tell yourself just a little more and I'll be satisfied, before you build bigger, stop and think. What is all of this really for? Because the answer to that question will shape your life. And that realization might just change how you see money